Breaking news! The atmosphere is heating up behind the scenes at the Philadelphia Eagles, and I have something very important to talk to you about. We know that our general manager, Howie Roseman, is hungry to win another Super Bowl next season, but on the other hand, the Eagles still need to resolve some key issues within the team. I'll tell you everything I've learned over the past few hours, but before we get into all the details, make sure you've hit that like button, but only do it if you believe that Howie knows what he's doing and that he can lead us to another Super Bowl. Man, I really believe in that. If you believe too, comment like this: "Go Birds! Let's go to the Super Bowl." Now, I really need your full attention. Let's get to it. Now, let's get straight to it. Philadelphia Eagles general manager Howie Roseman has been maneuvering behind the scenes once again. The Bryce Huff trade has been finalized, pending his physical with San Francisco. The trade details initially remained unclear, but we now know the Eagles will receive a fifth-round pick that could escalate to a fourth-rounder depending on Huff's playing time and performance with the Niners in 2025. Beyond that, this trade saves the Eagles $2.44 million in cap space for 2025 and nearly $8 million in cash. And let's not forget, it also frees up a critical roster spot. That's not the only major roster move. The Eagles recently released veteran cornerbacks Darius Slay and James Bradberry, which, along with the Huff trade and post-June 1 designations, opened up significant cap space. With these moves, the Eagles freed up nearly $2.5 million by offloading Huff and an additional $6.4 million through the other cuts. That brings the Eagles to a total of $25.5 million in available cap space, right in the middle of the pack among the NFL's 32 teams. But what does this mean for the Eagles' roster strategy moving forward? The outside linebacker and pass rusher position is now in the spotlight. Defensive coordinator Vic Fangio will rely heavily on a new rotation, and there's a lot riding on the development of several key players. Nolan Smith, entering his third year, had an exceptional sophomore campaign, going from just 1 sack as a rookie to 6.5 sacks, plus leading the NFL with 4 more sacks during the playoffs. However, Smith's durability remains a concern. He's already undergone 2 surgeries, one for a shoulder injury after his rookie season and another following a torn triceps sustained in the Super Bowl. He's back on the practice field wearing a bulky brace, but 2 surgeries in 2 years is certainly something to keep an eye on. Then there's Jalen Hurts, who showed significant promise as a rookie. Fangio pointed out how Huff's hand injury, which forced him to play with a restrictive cast, opened the door for Hurts and Smith to get more snaps, and they both capitalized on the opportunity. The Eagles are optimistic Hurts can make a significant leap in his second year. Adding to the rotation is Azeez Ojulari, whom the Eagles acquired on a bargain free agency deal. He's a former New York Giant with 22 sacks over 46 games and 30 starts, but like many in this group, he has a troubling injury history. The Eagles hope he can thrive in Philadelphia and perhaps become the latest in a line of former Giants who found new life with the Birds. Another name in the mix is Josh Uche. After notching an impressive 11.5 sacks in 2022 under Bill Belichick, his production has dipped, with only 7 sacks since then. While his pass rush win rate remains solid, there's no denying the drop-off in sack numbers. That said, at just 26 years old, Uche still has plenty of potential. One common thread runs through this entire position group. There's a lot of hope, but not many sure things. Roseman knows better than anyone the value of a deep, talented pass rush, and if he feels this group isn't up to the task, he'll make moves to bolster it. Right now, if the season started today, Nolan Smith and Jalen Hurts would likely be your starting outside linebackers, with Uche and Ojulari rotating in. Another intriguing prospect is Antoine Powell-Ryland, who was highly productive at both Florida and Virginia Tech during his college career. Given the right opportunity, he could also see playing time. But with all these what-ifs and the clear risks of injuries or lack of progression, the Eagles' pass rush situation remains precarious. Losing both Josh Sweat and Milton Williams along the defensive line further amplifies concerns about this unit's ability to generate pressure. Internally, the Eagles are banking on growth from young stars like Jordan Davis, who needs to make a substantial leap, and Jalen Carter, who is expected to continue his development into one of the NFL's premier defensive players. Zach Berman, a journalist with deep ties to the organization, aptly summarized the situation. Before the Huff trade, his biggest concern about the Eagles was their edge rusher group. Although he didn't expect Huff to be a significant contributor, Huff's departure puts the spotlight squarely on this unit. The top edge rushers, Nolan Smith and Jalen Hurts, are homegrown talents who could elevate their game, while Ojulari was the Eagles' biggest signing of the offseason. There's also hope that Josh Uche can recapture his double-digit sack form. But Berman doesn't believe the Eagles are done at this position. He floated the possibility of the Eagles pursuing veteran ring chasers like Zadarius Smith or Von Miller, both of whom could provide valuable experience and production. However, Berman also speculated on a potentially blockbuster move. Could the Eagles attempt to trade for Jacksonville Jaguars edge rusher Trayvon Walker? This suggestion carries weight, given Berman's deep connections to the organization. He has spent years covering the Eagles, authored multiple books about the team, and interviewed key figures like Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. His pulse on the team's inner workings is as strong as anyone's. Trayvon Walker is an intriguing target for multiple reasons. He's younger than other elite edge rushers like Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, and Micah Parsons. While he may not yet be on their level, his affordability both in terms of trade compensation and future contract demands makes him an appealing option. Plus, Walker's skill set fits seamlessly with what Fangio wants in a player, someone who is effective against both the run and the pass. At just 24 years old, Walker is still developing. His steady improvement since being drafted first overall in 2022 by Jacksonville is notable. From 3.5 sacks as a rookie to 10 sacks in his second season, then to 10.5 in his third, Walker has demonstrated consistent growth. His quarterback hits, tackles for loss, and pressures have all trended upward as well, signaling that his best football is still ahead of him. Another factor working in favor of a potential trade is Howie Roseman's well-documented affection for players from the University of Georgia. Walker was a key member of Georgia's legendary 2021 National Championship defense, alongside current Eagles Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Nolan Smith. Adding Walker to this group would reunite that formidable front four and further solidify the Philly Bulldogs' identity that Roseman has carefully cultivated. Moreover, Walker's athletic profile is almost off the charts. In the pre-draft process, he registered a near-perfect relative athletic score, RAS, of 9.99, displaying elite explosiveness and agility for a player of his size. This is exactly the type of physical freak that Roseman prioritizes in building the Eagles' defense. The Eagles also have the draft capital to make such a deal happen. Thanks to masterful maneuvering, Philadelphia holds a treasure trove of picks in the 2026 NFL Draft, multiple selections across the first 5 rounds, including 3 third-rounders and multiple fifths. This ammunition puts Roseman in prime position to make a splashy trade if he so desires. So now, the big question looms over the Eagles fan base. Should Howie Roseman make an aggressive move to acquire Trayvon Walker and further bolster the edge rusher unit? Or should he trust in the development of his current young core? I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Should the Eagles go all in for Trayvon Walker? Because when you look at it, the opportunity is absolutely there for the Eagles to make this kind of bold move. The Jaguars did exercise Trayvon Walker's 5th-year option, meaning he's locked in through the 2026 season, but as it stands, he isn't expected to command the kind of astronomical contract that players like Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons will inevitably demand. Instead, a deal somewhere in the range of $30 to $35 million annually could get it done, making him a more financially viable option for Philadelphia in the long term, especially when compared to some of the other top-tier pass rushers in the league. But the reality is, making this trade wouldn't just be about cap space or contract logistics, it's about building something special. The idea of reuniting